You know, it's one thing to lose a game to a bad team. It's one thing to have a terrible shooting night as a team. It's one thing to have a season that just isn't going your way, falling below expectations. But it's another thing to completely check out as a unit and not give a damn about winning anymore. The Chicago Bulls, quite simply put, do not care. This group has checked out. You see it in their body language, you see it in how tentative they are on offense. They look completely lost as a group. Guys don't know where they're supposed to be, they can't execute simple fast breaks, and their defense, especially when they don't have Alex Caruso, has been absolutely horrendous. The only player that actually looked like he gave a damn tonight was your rookie Dalen Terry, who has barely played all season. Probably cared a little too much when he bashed his head against the pylon. Boy, I love that energy, but let's not get ourselves injured over something stupid like that. I will talk about Dalen Terry because that was really the only bright spot in this game tonight. But this team is done. They have quit on Billy Donovan. And yes, we already kind of knew that, but this has been especially evident after the trade deadline when the Bulls have lost 4 straight now, because it almost seems, just like us as fans, knowing that the front office did absolutely nothing at the deadline, which is still just wild to me, but like us, the Bulls players know this team, we're going to be riding with these guys for the rest of the season. No going back now, no changes or adjustments to be made. Yes, there is the buyout market, but come on now, that's not going to do anything. It's almost like the players are saying to themselves, really? This is the crew we're riding with? No changes? We don't work well together. We've already lost that trust in each other to compete every night, and you think this was the best way to go for the rest of the season? Look, the effort in general this year has been bad. Like really, even during the good stretches where they had, strung some good wins together, the effort hasn't been there consistently. They would still blow big leads late in games, even if they came away with a win. But the past few games, it has been next level bad, to the point where you question whether these guys even want to play basketball for a living anymore. Billy Donovan has completely lost the locker room. These guys aren't responding to him anymore. They don't believe in we just need more spirit, we need to come out playing harder. That ship has sailed. And I still cannot for the life of me understand how the front office could have given Billy Donovan that secret extension during the offseason. I mentioned this briefly when the news broke that they actually offered Billy an extension, but how? After the way we saw the Bulls close out the season last year, after a lackluster playoff series that they had against the Bucks, and putting up some of the worst playoff performances we've seen on their own home court in games 3 and 4, why did they feel so compelled to offer him an extension? And they didn't even need to offer him an extension at that time. He still had 2 years left on his deal at the point in the offseason. It's not like he was going in the last year of his contract, which even then you don't need to extend him. Even if he was in the final year of his deal, you can see how the season plays out and see if he deserves an extension. 2 years left on his deal. You don't think it makes sense to see how the season transpires and assess whether it makes sense to extend his contract before he goes into the final year of his deal? You don't think to wait and see how he does with this group after another season together? That was actually something I really wanted to ask Casey Johnson about earlier this week when I had him on. If he's ever seen something like this, giving a secret extension to a coach and to have it happen this early. I'm going to have Darnell Mayberry on later this week, so I'll make sure to ask him about that. But anyway, and now look what's happening. The guys are no longer buying into a system. The confidence and faith they have in their coach is gone. And the reason I say that is because obviously I don't actually know what's going on in their minds or what happens inside the locker room. But when players stop giving effort, when they look the way they showed up tonight against the Magic or even the other night against the Cavs, it's usually a sign that the relationship has fractured between their coach. For anyone who has played organized basketball in their lives, which I'll admit I only played up through high school, but from grade school to high school, I had coaches that I respected a great deal and some I didn't care for so much. And I have to say, I always worked a little harder when I really like and respected my coach. When I didn't like my coach or thought they weren't good at their job, it was hard to give maximum effort all the time. If a player truly respects their coach, they're going to bust their ass out there every game. Now, I know it varies by players. Some players are just built to always go out there and bring a ton of energy and hustle on every play, no matter their coach. And some players are just a little more lazy than others. But when the entire team shows up the way they did, sans Dalen Terry, to me, that's a sign this team is giving up on their coach, and quite frankly, has given up on the season. The Chicago Bulls are 26-31, 11th in the East with only 25 games left to play. There is a real world now where the Bulls miss the play-in entirely, forget the playoffs. Would arguably be one of the most disappointing seasons we've seen from this franchise relative to the expectations anyway. What's funny, although I guess I shouldn't say it's really funny, more ironic, you obviously heard AK's comments after the deadline talking about how the Bulls aren't shooting threes at a high rate, but they're making them at a decent clip, which wasn't entirely wrong. I think when he said that the Bulls were 12th in the league from a percentage standpoint, since that comment from AK, the Bulls are 13-68 from three. 19%. They have made 13 threes in the past 3 games. They don't shoot enough threes, something that is basically a requirement for basketball in 2023, and now they can barely hit them at a 20% clip. It's a recipe for disaster. Doesn't matter how good your mid-range game is, doesn't matter what you're doing in the paint, doesn't matter how great your defense is. I mean, it's gotten to the point where the Bulls have become super tentative, so passive now when taking threes. The last 3 games, they start missing them early, and then guys are too afraid to shoot it from deep. Coby White had some open looks from 3 tonight, but passed them up. Same with Patrick Williams and even Vucevic. And then the turnovers again tonight. I mean, Zach Lavine, 5 turnovers. Had a solid fourth quarter, by the way, for Zach. One of the few players to score in that quarter, but man, between him and DeMar DeRozan, that lack of energy and effort on the court is so palpable right now, and it makes it worse when these guys are supposed to be your leaders. These are the guys who are supposed to be riling them up, getting them motivated, inspiring their teammates to be better. They aren't doing any of that. DeMar, yes, shows up well as a leader from time to time. He's been a great mentor to Pat, Ayo, and Dalen Terry, but Zach Lavine, this is your max player. Where's the leadership? What are you doing to make your teammates better? Hustle, grit, energy, effort. When a player gives that on the court, it's infectious, and the rest of the team wants to match that level of intensity because they don't want to let their teammate down. Zach Lavine and DeMar DeRozan are not doing that, and I really shouldn't single them out. It's not like Vucevic, Patrick, or even Ayo are doing that either. That's another reason having Javonte Green out for an extended period of time hurts the Bulls so much, because this team desperately needs his energy. There were games where the Bulls were down in the dumps and Javonte would come in the game and completely shift the momentum around and get the guys back into it. We need more players like that. We need a guy like Dalen Terry, who is the only small shining spot in this game. Came in ready, had that dog-like mentality, played tough on both ends of the floor, played hard even when he had bigger guys on him, started getting the crowd into it. Kind of makes you a little frustrated knowing Billy Donovan had been sitting Terry for basically this whole season when he could have used his energy in production when the team was coming out lethargic. And to be honest, had Caruso played tonight, Terry likely wouldn't have even gotten minutes. The Bulls, as a team, 3 for 21 tonight shooting from 3, 40% from the field, 16 turnovers, 17 assists as a team, only put up 91 points against the Orlando Magic. Shout out to the Magic though, because they have been playing pretty well. That's a team that plays with heart and energy, a young and experienced team, so it's why they don't have many wins, but they play hard, they give it their all. Something I would love to see from the Bulls, and we've barely seen it all season. I'm just so over this team, man. At this point, I'm almost waiting for the season to just be over so we can move on to the offseason and hopefully see some actual changes, but who knows, that might not even happen either, no matter how bad the Bulls play, because, hey, continuity over everything, right? Whatever. Be sure to subscribe, guys, for more Bulls therapy sessions. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you guys in the next one.